And then they have cans of soup. Soup. And they throw the cans of soup. That's better than a brick because you can't throw a brick, it's too heavy. But a can of soup, you can really put some power into that, right? And then when they get caught, they say, no, this is soup for my family. They're so innocent. This is soup for my family. It's incredible. And you have people coming over with bags of soup, big bags of soup, and they lay it on the ground, and the anarchists take it and they start throwing it at our cops, at our police. And if it hits you, that's worse than a brick because it's got force. It's the perfect size. It's like made perfect. And when they get caught, they say, no, this is just soup for my family. And then the media says, this is just soup. These people are very, very innocent. They're innocent people.
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day. Every day it is time for us to agree.
It's like, oh, Abel's your guy, eh, God? How about if I take him out in the field and beat him to death?
Look, talk about education. I propose that what we take is those very poor schools, the Title I schools, triple the amount of money we spend from 15 to 45 billion a year. Give every single teacher a raise, an equal raise of getting out the $60,000 level. Number two, make sure that we bring in to help the students, the teachers deal with the problems that come from home. The problems that come from home, we have one school psychologist for every 1,500 kids in America today. It's crazy. The teachers are I'm married to a teacher. My deceased wife is a teacher. They have every problem coming to them. We have to make sure that every single child does in fact have 3, 4, and 5-year-olds go to school, not daycare, school. We bring social workers into homes of parents to help them deal with how to raise their children. It's not that they don't want to help. They don't know quite what to do. Play the radio, make sure the television, make sure you have the record player on at night, the phone, make sure the kids hear words.
Early in the morning, they went to the table with the black robe, the black shield, and they pulled out the votes.
$7 million for reef fish management, $25 million to combat Asian carp, $2.5 million to count the number of amberjack fish in the Gulf of Mexico. They weren't coming because they couldn't get in. Once they think they can get in, they're coming, and they are coming at levels that you haven't even seen yet.
Who are you worried about? I'll tell you who I'm worried about. I'm worried about the fact that our workers are seeing a decline in their standard of living. They want to see our industry be rebuilt. That's what they want to see. No more B-2 bombers. No more Star Wars. Let's make the quality products we need. Let's invest in American industry. No, I won't yield.
Testing, testing. Is this thing on? Testing. Testing. Is this thing on? Am I audible? Am I audible? Am I visible? Wait. Hello? Am I audible? Hello? Hello? Am I audible? Can you hear me? Hello? Testing. Testing. I don't have a mic stand, so I just balance my microphone on a stack of books, so it could fall at any minute. Welcome, users! This is Above It All. It's a show that I do. I do this show, and it's called Above It All, and I do a show, and it's a decent show. It could be better. It's a decent program. Some could say it's it's a solid show. It's a way to waste your time. It's a way to kill time. We're going to be murdering the concept of time live on this stream. And so, hopefully y'all enjoy the program. We got a goddamn here. We got a goddamn. So we got a show. And it's happening right now, actually. And so thank you for tuning in. Coming at you live from my new chair. As you can see, look at this. It's a white chair, so, you're going to see all the fucking coffee stains. You're going to see all the fucking, the hot sauce. The fucking hot sauce stains on this bitch,
Oh, seriously, hot sauce. I've been eating a lot of hot sauce. A lot of raw peppers and hot sauce.
You're going to see them. They're going to show up because, I eat at my desk like a slob. I actually haven't eaten at my desk in a very long time because I'm no longer a slob. I'm an ex-slob. So that's what's happening. You thought that one out? Thought which one out? Did I give my chair a name? No, because I am not a fucking crazy person. Who gives their chairs names? Oh, hello, Cherry. The chair being white. I mean, the white model was just the cheapest, so that was pretty much my only my only thought. But what are you gonna do? Broken valve spring and intake valve dropped. Hoping all it requires is removing the head. Repairing that and any other valve / valve springs. Hoping. What the fuck are you talking about? What the hell are you talking about? Broken valve spring? What? What? Y'all, let me remind everybody. We need a to give me money. It's my birthday this month, not today, but this month is my birthday. So consider giving me money. I need money to live, and so if you want to help me live, you know, it's an option. So I need money to live. 1, 2, I want to live. 3, you should want me to live. And 4, there is no 4. But you should give me money. What would you get in return? I got a fucking snot. I got some snot. Oh my god. When is my birthday? It is the 31st of the 5th month of the calendar. All right. So we got a show here going on. We got a program doing a show here. So, you know, give me money. That's part 1. Part 2, you get a show. I'm like sneezy as hell right now. So, you know, I might need to get like a tissue of something. This is insane. White fabric on anything is bad for long-term use. It always changes colors and not in a good way. Well, fortunately, anyway, so we got a show here. Doing a program today. Today being May 2nd, the second day in the month of May. Oh my god. Can you hear that, by the way? There's like some blockage going on in there. In my goddamn nostrils. There's some fucking... I got some nostril blockage that I'm dealing with. Let's talk about cops. So, as you know, I hate the police. I think police are evil incarnate. If there's anybody in this world that, you know, is just true, unadulterated evil, it's every single police officer. Exhibit 74,974. Michigan deputy arrested after allegedly torturing and killing a service dog. The deputy confessed to killing the dog and leaving its body in a ditch. A Michigan sheriff's deputy was arrested on a felony charge for torturing and killing his service dog after the animal allegedly nipped him. So, this is something I want to talk about here. Like, police dogs, like, I know there's, like, a lot of, like, propaganda that tries to sell police dogs as a good thing to the public. You know, like, when the dogs go out there and then, like... You know, they like, you know, jump on someone's lap and then it's like, oh, he's a good boy. He's hard at work and all that propaganda garbage. But did you know that when cannabis became legal in several states in this country, there were lots of dogs that were trained to hunt down the smell of marijuana? They were literally tortured and trained to track down and basically, you know, get upset at anyone that smelled like marijuana. That's torture, right? An arbitrary plant that you've trained the dog to despise, right, then becomes legal. So what do they do with all these dogs, right? A lot of the cases, they put them down, they murder them, they kill them, right? Because rehoming them is a little difficult, especially, you know, what if you go to the pound, you get a dog, and then they hate weed and assault you over weed because they're a police dog and they were tortured into, you know, being that way. It's like the remember that dude who, like, trained his dog to, like, you know, Heil Hitler or something? That's basically what cops do, but, like, with thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of innocent animals. It's a mass torture program. It's abuse. It's enslavement of animals. It's disgusting. And every single police officer who ever works with dogs is an animal abuser and belongs in jail. And this is just one example of police not treating dogs with respect. But again, you can look it up. One of the biggest murderers of dogs in this entire country is actually the police department. The police kill more dogs than almost any other organization in this country. Why? Oh, well, because when they're no longer useful, they have to be destroyed. They have to be eradicated from this planet because they just, typically they don't rehome them because why? Well, because they expose the dogs to trauma. They expose the dogs to assault and very traumatic situations, and it makes it very hard for them to adjust to civilian life. So again, I want to talk about that, but also I want to talk about this fucking scumbag piece of garbage. Jacob Wilkinson was apprehended Monday and was terminated from his post at the Genesee County Sheriff's Office after the decomposed dog was discovered in a ditch, duct taped with bullet holes in its head. Again, I want you to understand that this is the mind of a cop. This is how police act. They're depraved. Like, they would treat, like, I would say that this is not any sort of specific animal abuse. This is how police treat regular human beings as well, right? So it's just innate when it comes to cops. When you are a cop, you are a psychopath. You are a violent savage. You're an uncivilized, fucking disgusting fucking loser. All cops are evil. All cops are uncivilized, fascist, garbage can men. The former deputy allegedly shot the dog 3 times and tossed it in a ditch, M Live reported. But the animal's corpse was covered in snow during the winter weather and was not found until March 24th. There was a time somewhere between September, October-ish when he was trimming the dog's nails and the dog nipped at him. So he was trimming the dog's nails, didn't know how to do it properly, right? Because they're not trained. They don't care about the dog's safety and well-being. The dog was like, ah! And then the cop was like, oh, I'm just going to murder you. I'm just going to murder you. Sheriff Christopher Swanson said in a Facebook video Wednesday. What's with cops and doing Facebook videos, by the way? And that guy thought he had enough control over the dog that you're not going to do that. So he duct taped the rear legs of the dog, duct taped the front legs of the dog, duct taped the muzzle. Animal control officers performed a necropsy, an animal autopsy, and found the dog was microchipped, police said. The Detroit Animal Care and Control had sent the dog to local humane society, where they transferred it to an organization that allows Michigan inmates to help train dogs as part of a therapy program. Wilkinson, who had helped the dog through its training process, adopted the canine after its training was completed. Wilkinson was a correction officer for the Michigan Department of Corrections at the time, but was working for the Genesee County Sheriff's Office when the dog was discovered. Some people talk about the blue line. There ain't no blue line when it comes to right and wrong, the sheriff said in the video. I love this. Oh, there is no blue line when it comes to animal abuse. Meanwhile, guess what? Literally every single police dog is abused because in order to become a police dog, they need to go through abuse. That is literally how they train police dogs, via abuse. They train them in order to hate certain things or certain kinds of people, hate certain smells, right? They literally make it impossible for them to actually be able to be integrated in society with their training methods, right? So I just want to be very clear. This is some bullshit. When a cop is trying to tell you, oh, this guy killed a dog, therefore he is the worst thing ever, right? Now keep in mind, cops kill human beings, and police don't say this kind of stuff, right? Police in Michigan, not the same county, but police in Michigan in Grand Rapids just killed someone, shot him in the back of the head as he was running away from them. And what did the police say? Oh, well, he feared for his life and all this and that. So they literally treat, like, at least rhetorically, they treat dogs better than human beings, right? So, and now again, in actuality, police are one of the largest mass manufacturers of canine death in this entire country, right? So they're garbage. If you're a dog fan, you should hate the police. Anyone that likes dogs and likes police is a fucking moron, and they're also a tacit dog abuser. This system needs to be dismantled entirely. But once again, isn't it insane that they literally want to act as if, oh, yes, oh, this is wrong. This is a goddamn thin blue line. It ain't thick enough. It's a goddamn thin blue line. Investigators interviewed Wilkinson, who confessed to killing the dog and leaving its body in a ditch. A warrant was issued, blah, blah, blah. Was released on $10,000 personal recognizance bond. However, the conditions of his bond are that he cannot possess guns or animals. Again, this is not an outlier. I want to be very clear that this is not an outlier. That's the important part of this story. This is not an outlier. Right? Now, again, police, like, what is the concept of putting a dog down? Right? Like, seriously, let's be honest. Let's be real here. Right? One of the largest organizations in America that, quote, puts dogs down is the police. Right, so what's the difference between putting a dog down when they're completely healthy and you torture them and train them to hate certain things in people and be unable to integrate into civilian life, right? So you manufacture their disabilities, right? You manufacture hatred, torture, right? The ability to attack people, right? You put that inside the dog's brain. It wasn't there to begin with, right? You train the dog to be unable to integrate with society. And then again, when states like legalize cannabis, for example, what do you do with all these dogs that are trained to attack and bite people for smoking weed? Well, you got to put them down, right? In other instances where police put the dog down. So I just want to be very clear. There is no difference between training a dog to hate certain kinds of people and then putting them down when that hatred is no longer tenable and duct taping them and shooting them in the head. There really is no difference, right? Because they, like, again, in this instance, they take a perfectly healthy, happy dog and they train them to be a disgusting creature for violence and fascism. And then when they are no longer useful, they murder them. It's that simple, right? So again, it really needs to be understood that cops are garbage when it comes to police. This is no exception. This is not an outlier. This is just one where the violence was not written off by the board, right? They didn't get everyone to sign the proper paperwork when they performed the violence this time around, and that's the only reason why they act like this. And isn't it fucking crazy that the police chief values the life of an animal, ostensibly, again, in their speech? We all know the truth, actually, because they murder animals and torture them on a daily basis. But isn't it interesting how, rhetorically speaking, he values lives of animals more than human beings? In my opinion, these motherfuckers are crazy. Police are gangsters, they are thugs, they are criminals, they are fascists. There is no such thing as a good cop, and the sooner you realize that, the sooner we can actually have grown-up conversations about how systems work in this country and what they produce. I'm against the death penalty 99% of the time, but I think I would make an exception for this police officer. I would make an exception for every police officer. Like, what's the percentage, or like, what's the population of cops in this country, like, percentage-wise? Let me look this up. I'm looking this up to make a good joke. How many are there? Let's find... Oh, there goes the microphone. So according to this website, there's 696,000. And what is the population of the USA? All right, so me being against the death penalty, I am against the death penalty 99.79% of the time because apparently 0.2% of the population are police officers. So that would make me against the death penalty approximately 99.79% of the time. The other 0.2%, wait, I'm just saying we got to be practical. We got to be practical. I'm just saying. Anyway, there's a show going on. There's a program that's currently occurring. And we're going to continue the program here because that's what we do. I need a boom microphone with a stand. I used to have one, but it broke. The stand broke, so... And I haven't gotten a new one yet. So... Have you ever had a roommate? I've had roommates. Some of them not so good, some of them fantastic. But what if I told you that, it was possible to make having roommates illegal? Yeah, that's right. Mandatory to live alone. No roommates ever. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Well, it would be wonderful, right, if we didn't need roommates, right, because of the soaring rent prices. But a city in the United States of America made the very bold decision to ban roommates. And that city is apparently Shawnee in Kansas. Co-living rentals banned in this Johnson County city after a unanimous council vote. Unanimous. On Monday, a Johnson County city unanimously voted to ban a living arrangement aimed at helping tenants decrease the amount of rent that they pay. The Shawnee City Council voted 8-0 to ban co-living, becoming among the first Kansas City area municipalities to prevent the practice, which has gained popularity in recent years as rent and home prices have soared. Okay, so let me get this straight. Rent prices soar to the point where people can't afford a single person apartment building by themselves, so they need to have roommates. Now, do you actually think that this is going to be in any way something that's going to reduce rent prices? Of course not. Of course not. Right? Landlords, right? Which usually a lot of these landlords are corporate landlords, right? They just have multiple facilities all over the country, right? The reason why they're doing this is because, if one person, right, if you can rent one unit to two people, right, and you only get $800, let's say, why do that when you can rent 2 units, right, to 2 people and get $1,600, right? So they might reduce the rent a little bit. They might reduce the rate of increase for rent a little bit, but what the effect of this is going to do is if you reduce your rent, let's say by, 20%, but then the people who previously, let's say 3 people lived in one building or one room or one, whatever unit, whatever. Now, so let's say the rent is $1,000 for the sake of argument. You reduce it by 20%, now it's $800. Wow, my rent went down. Except when I'm paying it by myself, my percentage share, right, is much larger. It went from 33% of 1,000 to 100% of 800. And for landlords, right, again, they might be able to reduce rent a little bit, but instead of making $1,000, they're going to make something like what, $2,400, right? This is how they operate, right? This is leeching, this is parasitic, and honestly, it's like this is the freedom people. This is the freedom people. They don't want you to have roommates. What if I'm getting into a serious relationship, right? And I want to move in with my partner. Can't do it. Can't do it. Why? Because that's a roommate situation. You can't do that. It's not allowed. And how do you enforce this? How the fuck do you enforce this? Do you have police knock, 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 let me see your papers. Are you two related? Are you two related? How do you enforce this fucking shit? I'm serious. I'm going to read a little bit more of this. But okay, let's assume you have a friend, who doesn't live in your area. Let's say you they moved out of town or whatever and they want to come back just to visit your old friends and family. Are you allowed to have them sleep on your couch for 2 weeks? Are you? Or is that co-living? Well, what if they want to pay part of the rent? Instead of, renting an Airbnb, right? Use some of that money, give it to my friend, help their rent costs and stay with my friend who I haven't seen in many years, sleep on their couch for a little bit, help out with their rent and hang out. Can't do it! Why? Oh, it's co-living. Can't do it. Let me see your papers. Are you related? Right? Because again, there's an exemption here for people that are related. The new ordinance defines a co-living group as a group of at least 4 unrelated adults living together in a dwelling unit. Jesus Christ, what is this language? The ordinance stated if one adult is unrelated to another adult, then the entire group will be classified as unrelated. So let's say you live with your family, right? And a friend of, your son or whatever, is dealing with an abusive situation and you want to house them for a couple months, right? Because, their parents kicked them out for being transgender or something like that, right? Can't do it. Now you're in an unrelated dwelling unit. Can't do it. You're going to get kicked out. Got to see all their papers. Make sure you're all related. What if you have different last names? I have a different last name than my mother. Does that mean that they have to do a blood test to guarantee that we are related? What the fuck is this garbage? What the fuck is this garbage? Like, are people in hazmat suits gonna be knocking on the doors with fucking those fucking battering rams? Let me get your blood samples to make sure you're not related. Like, what the fuck is this garbage? The practice, which includes things like sharing a kitchen, living room, and community areas. Sharing community areas. Can't do that. You gotta have your community area be all for yourself. What? Why would anyone want to share community areas? This article is on kansascity.com. The Kansas City Star. Co-living rentals banned in this Johnson County city after unanimous council vote. Why would anyone want to share a community area? That's my area of solitude. That's where I go to meditate, is in the community area. Started to gain popularity as rental and housing prices continued to increase across the United States. The idea that this is popular, people don't like roommates unless it's their friend or whatever, and even then, that could be a rough situation. People would prefer not to live with roommates. People would prefer to be able to live on their own if they had the choice. The problem here is that everyone who is in any generation below millennial Gen Z, they don't have any money, right? We don't have any jobs. We don't have any fucking money. We can't afford to live on our own because that's a fantasy. That's a fantasy. The idea of someone being able to move out at 18 and get a job and support themselves on their own, that doesn't happen anymore. That doesn't exist. That's a fantasy. It's make-believe. You're living in fairy tale la la land, right? So, let's continue. The city council's vote came despite a presentation from a Johnson County organization where a housing study showed that the average home price in the county rose 37% from 2017 to 2021. Climbing, have your wages increased by 37% in the last 5 years? Does anyone know? Because for me, I can assure you that is not the case. Climbing from $324,000 to $443,000. The study also showed that wages did not rise at the same rate. Oh, thank you for telling me that. Shawnee is one of the 3 largest communities in Johnson County. So what happens in Shawnee is really consequential for what happens to the rest of the county, said Christy Bachman, Director of Education and Planning for the United Services of Johnson County. Bachman said that the organization received a grant in 2017 from the Kansas Healthcare Foundation, which was part of a Healthy Communities initiative. The task was to identify a health equity issue. She said, what? Does this have to do with health? What does this have to fucking do with health? Over and over again, what rose to the surface was the cost of housing, was the cost that was impacting people's ability to be healthy. Okay, I understand that. That makes sense. But what the fuck does that have to do? Is that their argument in favor of banning roommates? Oh, we're going to ban roommates, and trust me, bro, prices will go down. Trust me, bro, rent will go down 37%. Yeah, sure. 50% of $1,000 is less than 100% of $700, but or $670 or whatever. Whatever. We're gonna reduce the rent price, but you're gonna have to be paying a higher percentage of your income that hasn't been raised in 10 fucking years. An 8-0, by the way. Again, I cannot stress this enough. The entire city council, 8-0, they voted in favor of this garbage. You can't make it up. This is we are in late stage dystopian capitalism. You cannot make this up. They have banned roommates. But unless you're related. But again, how the fuck are you going to verify whether or not someone is related? If they have different last names, are they no longer related? Do you again, how the fuck do you verify this? Do you go in there and get fucking hair samples from the fucking bathroom and sample everyone's hair and match up all their fucking genealogies? What the fuck, bro? This is insane. This is insane. This is fucking insane. These motherfuckers are crazy. They are fucking dumb. These are dumb fuck motherfuckers. Dumb fucks.
But the real problem is that our leaders are dumb. Dumb. So dumb.
Fucking crazy. Your hometown, oh Lord? You gotta give me the straight dope. How shitty is your hometown, John Ross? Because from what I'm reading, not so good. We got a show going on, y'all. There's a fucking program happening. This is Kuroger Lemon Lime flavored seltzer. All right, y'all. So, I'm going to make another segment about Elon Musk and AOC. Why? Because, I don't know. Like, it's SEO, right? Someone might click on this fucking shit. And then, like, I get ad revenue. I mean, there's no commentary to be had here. This is just clickbait. But it's really funny. I might say, this is really funny. So, AOC was tweeting, as she usually does, right? She was tweeting. And she tweeted the following a couple of days ago. Tired of having to collectively stress about what explosion of hate crimes is happening because some billionaire with an ego problem unilaterally controls a massive communication platform and skews it because Tucker Carlson or Peter Thiel took him for dinner to make him feel special. Elon Musk responds, "Stop hitting on me. I'm really shy." Now again, Elon Musk does not have unilateral control over Twitter. In fact, he doesn't even have the keys yet, right? And I've also read studies that, or not studies, but like articles suggesting that he won't have actual control over Twitter for a long time, right? So, I don't know. I think this is funny. But AOC responds with, "I was talking about Zuckerberg, but okay." And I just think that's funny. I mean, like, I don't know, like the idea that Elon Musk is like perusing AOC's tweets every day and like, oh, this must be about me, as if he's the only billionaire in the world. I mean, it's incredibly creepy and weird. But then also, again, like, this goes back into the thing that AOC talks about all the time, where it's like all these like weird right-wing losers love to like sexually fantasize about her in some really bizarre ways, right? Like Elon Musk is like projecting some like weird, obscene sexual fantasy on some random person who like he's probably never met, I would assume, right, online, right? It's just like, it's strange. It's fucking weird behavior. It's weird. And the Elon defenders, man, I mean, they're going crazy. Every Elon Musk video I've made since the Twitter thing started happening, right, I get like the Elon Musk fanboys that come in my YouTube comments and go like, actually, Elon Musk was made, he's a genius. And don't you like African American owning tech company? Like, he's so smart and he's a genius and he's African American, and I love Elon Musk, and maybe if I post in your YouTube comment section about how good Elon Musk is, maybe he'll give me dog coins. Like, that's literally, like, people are, like, imagine literally wasting your life defending a billionaire online. Like, couldn't be me. Like, I just can't fucking, I can't imagine wasting my time defending a billionaire online. But anyway, I thought this was funny. And I'm going to make a segment about it, because then I get to post it as a clip on YouTube, and then I get a bunch of fucking morons that come in and post cringe in my comment section, and every time they do, I gain more ad revenue, I gain more views, and it's great. So that's the only reason I'm talking about this. I'm being honest with you. This is clickbait. This is called clickbait. This is called SEO, search engine optimization. I'm only in it for the clicks, and I'm just being upfront. But either way, AOC is funny, and Elon is a little creepy and weird. And so, just got to throw that out there. And boom, that's it. That's all I got. I know, I can't with this fucking African American, like, the right is so unfunny, it hurts. Like, it's incredible how unfunny the right is. Like, I mean, like, it's, he's an African American. Are you drinking sugar? No, I am not. This is a seltzer. And I am drinking kofefe with unsweetened soy milk. No sugar here, bitch. That's fucking... What is that? That's libel. That's what that is? This is libel. That's fucking libel, what you're posting in my chat. I gotta fucking sue you. We're going to court. I'm going to fucking court. I'm gonna take you down, Lilith. That was some fucking libel. That's illegal. Don't you know that's against the law? Don't you know that's against the fucking law to libel someone?
Unbelievable.
Oh my god. Did you know Elon Musk's dad owned an emerald mine in South Africa, a byproduct of the apartheid era? To my understanding, he did not own the mine, but he was like a stakeholder in a mine. But you know, just a distinction. To my understanding, he's just like a part stakeholder. But either way, I mean, you know, it's a little interesting. One thing I'm glad to see is that Elon appears to be balding for the second time. Oh, I know it's not funny to make fun of people that have hair problems, but
Unbelievable.
All right, let's go. Got a show going on, doing a show. All right, it's happening. Many people want to know my hot take. Chomsky. It's happening. So the other day, Noam Chomsky rose from the crypt once again and said some very interesting stuff. So, you know, it's a little spoiled if you haven't seen this in the text here. But so I want to play this whole thing. This is a very interesting clip. Needless to say, I disagree with what Noam Chomsky is going to say here, and I will explain why. But let's watch.
Well, there is fortunately one statesman in the United States and Europe who has laid out a person of a high political figure who...
There's only one politician in all of the US and Europe that has a good idea on how to handle the crisis in Ukraine. Only one? What the
who has made a very sensible statement about how you can solve the crisis, namely by facilitating negotiations instead of undermining them, and moving towards establishing some...
So, okay, one of the problems with this... Now, I understand. I hate war. I hate what's going on in Ukraine. I think Russia is evil. For that matter, Russia, the government of Russia, I should say. For that matter, right? I also think the United States government is evil. I can understand why people would think that NATO is not sincerely interested in ending the war going on. I mean, I don't calling it a war. I prefer the term invasion because it's extremely offensive. It's one side is it's not like Ukraine is going into Russian territory and like trying to like overthrow Russian governments or whatever. You know what I mean? So it's but anyway, I understand why people would be skeptical of NATO. They don't have a good track record for the most part. That said, what are negotiations? What are you negotiating? Giving up like half the country to Russia just because they're a bully and they said so? I understand. I understand why the thought process, less people would die if you just gave up Ukraine to Putin. But that implies that one, Putin has a general and any interest whatsoever in not just taking all of Ukraine. right? So that's the first, assumption. 2, it assumes that Putin would, all right, let's assume he takes the Donbass region, keeps Crimea, and then he's just going to stop. He's going to be like, all right, mission accomplished. My life is complete. You know what I mean? Why would anyone believe that Vladimir Putin would just, took control of the Donbass region, took control of Crimea, or keep control of Crimea, and we'll just leave the rest of Ukraine alone? Now, also, Russia, the government of Russia, treats its citizens like garbage. Like garbage. Now, again, is that to say that Ukraine's government is any better? Well, yeah, but is it perfect? No. But is it better than Russia? To all my understanding, yes. Russia, the government of Russia routinely poisons people, assassinates people that are political opponents of the ruling regime in the Kremlin. Again, tens of thousands, if not 100,000 or so protesters who are against the, quote, special military operation, right? Whatever that fucking garbage is. They've been disappeared, potentially thrown in jails. Who knows their whereabouts? New laws were passed that if you, do any misinformation, and who controls what's misinformation? The Russian government controls what's declared misinformation, right? About the special military operation, right? You can be thrown in jail and prison for 15 fucking years. Right? This is not a country that, they're going to control the Donbass region, and then everything's going to be great. Everyone's going to sing Kumbaya, and the world will be saved. Huh? What? It doesn't make any sense. Unless there's a secret knowledge that Noam has that he is not, being clear about. He has some secret, wise, wisdom of some kind, right, that no one else knows. Right? He's fucking, I don't know, he's doing something. But anyway, let's continue here, because this is really bizarre. And again, so that is all separate from the idea that Donald Trump, which again, this is the one statesman he's referring to. Donald Trump is the only one with a good idea. You can't think of anyone else. Let's assume that your ideal position is whatever this is. Why point to Donald Trump? It's just what?
Kind of accommodation in Europe, maybe in which there are no military alliances, but just mutual accommodation. He didn't say it, but it's something like what George H.W. Bush, the first Bush, not the second, proposed in the early 90s after the collapse of the Soviet Union, proposed what they called a partnership for peace, which would be open for Europeans generally, Eurasians as well. It wouldn't eliminate NATO, but he would live up to the promise that NATO would not expand to the east, firm promise to Gorbachev. Keep to that. Allow NATO there, but kind of de-emphasize it.
So, yes, is it problematic that NATO quote-unquote expanded? Now, let's understand what that means, right? NATO is not some organism or a parasite or some sort of thing that's just controlling random parts of land, right? NATO is, again, ostensibly a defensive military alliance. Now, does that mean NATO is purely defensive throughout its entire history? Absolutely not. NATO, for the most part, is garbage, right? But again, it's not NATO is Georgia, you're part of us now, right? It's a two-way street, right? Georgia, right, or any other state or post-Soviet state of some kind, right, that would want to join NATO, right? They want to join NATO, right? Finland and Sweden have resisted joining NATO for a long time, and it wasn't until Vladimir Putin threatened to nuke their countries that they were like, yo, maybe we want to get in NATO, and now it looks like they're going to get into NATO. It's a two-way street. One of the main reasons why Ukraine is not in NATO is because a lot of NATO countries don't want Ukraine in NATO, right? But, again, the idea that, okay, NATO is expanding, so let's go into Ukraine and murder a bunch of civilians to combat NATO? What? I just this idea is oh, well, what is Putin gonna do? He had no other choice. He had to go in and commit a mass genocide of civilians. He had to go in. There's no other choice. What do you? I mean, I don't know. NATO's expanding, so let's go kill a bunch of kids, children, in all got to. I mean, this idea that it's it's the only choice. It's bizarre, right? You can say NATO expanding, probably not the best idea. Maybe NATO should have stopped existing after the Soviet Union fell. But guess what? That's not the world we live in. So we can play alternative history if we want. You can have your own view of alternative history, what would have been ideal, right? In my opinion, there's a lot of alternative history games we could play that would turn the world into a better world, right? But guess what? We got NATO. NATO exists, right? And it is no excuse to murder a bunch of innocent civilians. It's just not. Come on. Come on, right? And also, this idea that they're are there people in the United States or in Europe that would want to see an elongated proxy war in Ukraine to weaken the Kremlin regime or something like that? Probably, right? But does that mean that people in Ukraine shouldn't have a right to defend themselves? This idea that the U.S. speaks for Ukraine is ridiculous. Ukraine speaks for Ukraine. If Ukrainian civilians want to surrender, they should be allowed to communicate that to their leader, and their leader would surrender based on the behalf of the will of the people. If the will of the people is to fight back and defend themselves against the aggressor, that's the will of the people. Right? That's just, if they want to defend their country, they have every right to do so. And look at what is going on with Putin, right? With his actions in Georgia and Crimea and other places over the last couple of, the last 2 decades or so, right? Can you really, and then look, again, Putin threatens Finland and Sweden with nuclear fucking attack, and now they want to join NATO? Can you fucking, do people really, not know? If you have to choose, right, between two bullies, there's two bullies. One is NATO, one is Putin's Russia. There's two bullies, okay? And one of the bullies said, I'm going to literally fucking kill you and your fucking family and erase your existence from planet Earth, and no one will remember anything about you or your people. That's Putin. And NATO is we're just kind of chilling right now. You want to join us? I'm going to go with the bully who doesn't want to fucking murder me, right? So I'm just saying, this concept is fucking ridiculous. That NATO expanding is it's a moral justification for Putin's actions. And then what are they going to negotiate? Yes, wouldn't it be great if world leaders could all sit together, do drugs, chill, pass a blunt back and forth, and make world peace? Wouldn't that be fucking great? Yeah, but guess what? That's not the world we live in.
So other countries could join, including Russia for that matter, join the Partnership for Peace. Tajikistan joined, for example, not NATO, and move towards a world, a Europe, Eurasia with no military alliances. Actually, de Gaulle had similar vision. Emmanuel Macron, in his initiatives trying to contact Putin, suggested something similar. So going back to the one Western statesman, he didn't mention all of this, but he suggested something similar. Move towards negotiations and diplomacy instead of escalating the war. Try to see if he can bring about an accommodation, which would be roughly along these lines. His name is Donald J. Trump.
And that's where the clip ends. There's other versions of this clip going around where he talks more about why Donald J. Trump is the only one that can save Ukraine. But, this fucking shit is insane. This is insane. And also it needs to be understood, yes, we're allowed to have respectful disagreement. I'm allowed to say that Noam Chomsky, right, his work previously throughout his life has inspired me in many ways. I've learned a lot from reading some of his stuff and from listening to a lot of his stuff. But guess what? Not everyone is right on everything. People are allowed to be wrong. And it's a good thing if someone is wrong to explain why they're wrong. I'm not playing this game of cancel culture. Is Chomsky canceled? Is everything he fucking does, is everything he's ever said evil now because of this? No! He's allowed to produce good things for humanity. He's allowed to be a good influence for leftism in his own time period, but he is past his fucking prime. We need to be honest here, right? In the same way that I'm allowed to think that Christopher Hitchens, right, earlier works, pretty decent. After he became a warmongering piece of shit, not so good, right? We're allowed to say that people can evolve and they don't always evolve in a good direction, right? Now, again, we're allowed to say people's opinions on other things can be correct, like the, theory of manufacturing consent, really positive, really, ahead of its time, a very, very good, book, a very good, kind of theory of how the, media works and stuff. But also, right, his opinion on Ukraine, not so good. We're allowed to have these opinions, right? I would even go as far as to say that his opinion on the Ukraine situation is just horrible. Like, I mean, it's just, it's really bad. But again, I want to ask this for anyone who agrees with Chomsky on this one. What do you want to negotiate? Like, I'm just asking, what is on the table? And why do these people think that Putin is like a rational, justified actor? Right? Like, oh, it's okay to murder civilians because NATO, another country voluntarily, because of the will of the people, wanted to join NATO, and NATO was like, okay, we'll take you in. So now let's murder random civilians in another country. Let's murder random civilians in another country because country 1 joined NATO. So let's go all the way over to country 5 and just start murdering kids. That's not a rational actor. This is not someone that you could just negotiate with. Again, I don't know what to tell you, man. This is a fucking brain dead take. Like, it's brain dead. And then also, you can present this. Like Chomsky's opinion, you can present this opinion without escalating and endorsing Donald Trump's fucking, brand. Like, he can have the same exact opinion without endorsing Donald Trump's brand on this, right? He can say all the same things that he said without making this all about the one statesman who's fighting back. You know what I mean? And that's what leads me to believe that this guy has lost the plot a little bit. Because he should know that. He should know that if he wants to be taken seriously, he would not be escalating, or rather, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, but he would not be signaling that Donald Trump is the one statesman, as if no one agrees with Donald Trump's position on this. It's only Donald Trump. Not like half the Republican Party that have his same exact position. No. There's only one statesman, and his name is Donald J. Trump. Like, it sounds like this. Like, it sounds like it was an advertisement. It's not like, why would you say it like that? Like, it's so weird. Like, the delivery here is strange. This is like, I feel like this is going to be on like a Trump ad reel, right? Like, Trump is so cool that even Noam Chomsky endorsed him, right? Like, and then it's going to play
on these lines. His name is Donald J. Trump.
Right? And then it's going to go like, I'm Donald J. Trump and I approve this message, right? Like, what is this, man? This is some crazy shit. This is some crazy shit. So, what else to say? This is Noam Chomsky posting L's, but like, and to an extreme degree that it's like, my God, like, is it elder abuse to allow him online anymore? I don't know, man. Like, this is insane. Like, I really cannot believe I'm watching this. I mean, like, I know Chomsky has had very problematic takes on the, situation in Ukraine for the last couple of months and last couple of years especially, right? So I know he's always been kind of like missing the ball a little bit. He kind of respects Putin a little bit too much. I wouldn't necessarily say that he's a tanky, but I mean, like, I know that this is one of his blind spots for sure. But like, I mean, like, this stuff is, I mean, I cannot fathom how someone could have that position. And then again, have that position while like saying that Donald Trump is the guy to go with. You can have the same exact position without promoting a fascist. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, like, come on. Like, this is insane stuff. This is insane stuff. I'm not seeing this world where, like, Zelensky is like saying, I'm gonna fight to the last Ukrainian and fuck Putin. We're gonna fight this war to the point we're gonna push him back into Russia and then take over the Kremlin. I have not seen that video of Zelensky. Every time I see Zelensky talk about peace, he, again, has tried to, like, he went to several other countries to facilitate peace talks. He invited several people into his country to facilitate peace talks. He has been trying to gain a peaceful negotiation for this. That does not, result in just like Russia taking over half of the country or whatever, right? So I have not seen these Zelensky videos where he's like, oh, we're gonna fight back and then destroy the Russian people. I've not seen that, though I have seen the Putin videos where he says he wants to destroy all Ukrainian identity and restore the great name of Russia in the area because they built them up and this is our country. We gave them all the money and then they left us, right? Like, again, like, I don't know, but maybe I've just missed a couple of videos, right? So it's possible. Hello, Civic Spectre. Me too. And thank you, I appreciate that. God, there's so much cringe. There's so much cringe to discuss. Alright. I'll save some cringe for tomorrow. Let's end on something interesting. Alright, let's go. Science time, y'all. This is a subject that I know a little bit about. Scientists say that they have nailed down the ideal amount of sleep in middle and old age. So let's read this. Just kidding. Alright, let's read this. The optimum amount of sleep is not too little, but not too much, at least in the middle and old age. New research has found that around 7 hours sleep, not to be confused with the word of, but 7 hours sleep is the ideal night's rest. With insufficient and excessive sleep associated with a reduced ability to pay attention, remember and learn new things, solve problems, and make decisions. 7 hours of slumber was also found to be linked with better mental health, with people experiencing more symptoms of anxiety and depression and worse overall well-being if they reported sleeping for longer or shorter stints. While we can't say conclusively that too little or too much sleep causes cognitive problems, our analysis looking at individuals over a long period of time appears to support this idea. Jianfeng Feng, a professor at China's Fudan University and an author of the study published in the scientific journal Nature Aging, said in a statement, "But the reasons why older people have a poorer sleep appear to be complex, influenced by a combination of our genetic makeup and structure of our brains." Researchers from China and the United Kingdom analyzed data from almost 500,000 adults aged 38 to 73 who were part of the UK Biobank, a long-term government-backed health study. Participants were asked about their sleep patterns, mental health, and well-being, and took part in a series of cognitive tests. Brain imaging and genetic data were available for almost 40,000 of the study participants. Other research has found that older adults who have significant difficulty falling asleep and who experience frequent night awakenings are at high risk for developing dementia or dying early from any cause, while sleeping fewer than 6 hours a night has been linked to cardiovascular disease. Now, I want to intervene here to talk about how capitalism makes it so that sleep is something that, a lot of people, they only have time to work and to sleep, right? So, and a lot of people often, they accumulate sleep debt, right? Like, let's say if you're only sleeping for 4 to 5 hours a night because you're so busy working, right? That eventually, you start to have like sleep deprivation. Next time you sleep, right? If you only sleep 7 hours, you're not going to catch up, right? So you need to sleep 8 or 9 hours. It creates a very inconsistent sleep schedule, and inconsistent sleep schedules are worse than like a consistently suboptimal sleep schedule, right? Because your body is unable to adapt to what how much you're able to sleep and all that sorts of things. One reason for the link between too little sleep and cognitive decline could be because of disruption of deep sleep, where the brain repairs the body from day's work, day's wear and tear, and consolidates memories. Too little sleep is also associated with the buildup of amyloid, a key protein that can cause tangles in the brain that characterize some form of dementia. The study also said it's possible a prolonged sleep duration stems from poor quality fragmented sleep. Dr. Raj Das Gupta, a spokesperson for the American Academy of Sleep Medicine and assistant professor of clinical medicine at the Keck School of Medicine at the University of South California. So many ofs and ats and all these like titles and labels. Like, my God, right? Like, I mean, like, you know, people should be allowed to shout themselves out in their institutions, but my God, right? Like, can we shorten that sentence a little bit? Said that longer sleep durations have been associated with cognitive problems, but it wasn't entirely clear why. This sets a mark for future research and search for treatment, said Das Gupta, who wasn't involved in the research. Not involved. Why are they quoting this guy? I don't know. Sleep is essential as we get older, and we need just as much as younger people, but it's harder to come by. Now, again, this is all because of the capitalist structure of society, right? Like, it's not like there's anything inherent to being old that makes sleeping more difficult, right? It's just the way that our society is structured and how it damages our bodies over our lives. The study had some limitations. It only assessed how long the participants slept in total and not any other measure of sleep quality, such as waking during the night. What's more, participants reported their amount of sleep, so it was not objectively measured. However, the authors said the large number of people involved in the study meant its conclusions were likely robust. The author said that their findings suggested it was important that sleep, ideally around 7 hours, should be consistent. Now, again, that's what I was saying before. For those of you that don't know, I have studied sleep a little bit. I've read a couple books. I'm a little bit of a professional on sleep. I've slept a lot in my life. And so, again, for me, I find that even if my sleep is poor quality, but it goes over a consistent, period of time every day, that I perform better and I feel better throughout the day than if I'm just like, sleep in like a random amount. Like, so if I sleep like 12 hours one day or whatever, just because, I feel like it, and then I start sleeping like 3 hours the next night, and then I sleep like 9 hours the next night, right? I feel worse as a result. I'm constantly like trying to catch up, and like I'm in a, whereas even if you sleep consistently not the best, like let's say you only sleep 6 hours a night, that's probably better than sleeping 9 hours one day, 4 hours the next day, 5 hours, you know what I mean? So that's something I want to talk about. He also said that taking the average of 7 hours as the ideal amount of sleep ignores the fact that there's considerable individual variation in sleep duration and quality. Less or more sleep may be perfectly healthy for some individuals. So one thing is there's some gene that some people have where it means that they don't need to sleep as much as most people. There's like their way that their brain works or something. They can get by on like 5 hours of sleep or something. I don't know about that too much and how that relates to this study. But again, 7 hours, this is pretty much on par with what I've researched before, but it's always good to have more information on it. And all that kind of stuff. I think sleeping is one of the most important things that people don't really pay attention to, along with eating habits. I think a lot of people pay a little bit more attention to their eating habits and their sleeping habits, right? But I really genuinely think people really need to be present and like analyze how they sleep, how they eat, on a daily basis. For me, I keep a dream journal. If I don't sleep too well, I try to write that down as well as, just adjacent information. That kind of stuff, in my opinion, is very important to keep track of. And again, sleep is also very important. And it's very interesting that our structure of society with capitalism made it so that sleep is something that people can't get enough of, right? But you know what? You got to work. Even if your productivity, let's say if you slept 8 hours, right, and you worked 6 hours, right, your productivity in those 6 hours might be more than if you slept 4 hours and worked 10 hours, just because, you're more, able to deal with the task at hand. You're able to concentrate and focus, right? But again, it's not about productivity. It's not about actually doing your job well. It's not actually about performing, right? It's about control. That is why capitalism is structured the way it is. It is about control. It is about keeping people as unhealthy as possible. It is about keeping people tired. They would rather have people being tired and working slower for 12 hours than being well rested and productive and do the same amount of work in 8 hours. Why? Because when they're tired, when they're less productive, they're more easily controlled. They are less likely to absorb new information. They are less likely to want to revolt in some way, maybe unionize, maybe do something, ask for better wages and so forth, right? So it's about control at the end of the day. That is how capitalism functions, and that is why sleep is something that, people in the modern day have such a struggle with. And, we need to pay attention to that kind of stuff. How much sleep do I get? I try to sleep around, at least 6 hours a night, but usually 7 or 8. I work on sensors for sleep studies research. I'd love to see studies of this size that quantify sleep stages. You work on sensors. What does that mean for sleep studies? Like, you create like the little doohickeys that go like bloop, 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 like those little suction cups or whatever. There's like, I remember reading a polyphasic sleep schedule where like people try to manipulate their sleep cycles to where they only get like slow wave sleep or whatever, like deep sleep, like bodybuilders or whatever will try to like, I don't know, like they'll I remember reading this somewhere, so like, keep in mind I might be misremembering this because I'm not a bodybuilder, right? But you can manipulate the way you sleep, wake up at certain periods or take certain kinds of supplements or whatever, and it produces more like slow wave deep sleep that makes your like muscles like heal and repair themselves quicker so that you can like get rested more efficiently or whatever. But me personally, I'm more interested in REM sleep because I'm a big brain fan. I'm a fan of the brain. So I love the dream worlds. I love lucid dreaming. And I know that I've developed tactics of polyphasic sleep where, if I want to just try to like force myself to be in REM as much as possible, you can wake yourself up at certain times and certain stages to elongate your REM to get a higher percentage of dream time. That's stuff that I've done before. But sleep is super interesting. And I think that most people don't know nearly enough about it for something that we all do. Anyway, that's the show. Welcome, everyone to the program. That's it. And, the catch is you probably won't get as much REM if you have shorter sleep durations. That's true because typically the way REM cycles work is each REM cycle is longer than the previous, typically. That's why you have most dreams right before you wake up, as opposed to, like, dreaming consistently throughout the whole night. I remember when I was getting really into lucid dreaming for the first time in 2020, what I would do is I would like wake up 6 hours in and then just kind of like do stuff for like an hour and then sleep like an additional 3 to 4 hours and it would elongate my REM cycles. Have a lovely day. Thanks for the show. That's the show! It's over! It's over. I know a lot of people might be wondering to themselves, what? The show is over?
Unbelievable.
Am I right, people? Well, actually, I'm wrong because the show is not over. I still got to do the outro and Q-Cock. That's right. Is this a daily segment? I'm not sure. Q-Cock. You might be wondering, what the fuck? What is Q-Cock? What is that? What? Q-Cock? That's right. Questions, comments, or concerns. Q-Cock. So if anyone has anything that they would like to ask me, or, whatever, real quick, let me know. Q-Cock. I have extreme, severe sleep deprivation from trying to watch this show live daily on the West Coast. My sleep is radically different every day, but the headaches are still worth it. Oh, God. Go to sleep early. Come on. Q-Cock. Q-Cock. Hold on. Cock. Not on my stream. Q-Cock. Q-Cock. Goddamn. Pretty cool. Will I be picking up the Lego Muppets? Probably. How long have I been streaming? A long time. Since I was 16 years old. ...2001 review was nice to see. I think you should watch all the Kubrick films. Oh, I plan on it. I would love to watch The Shining. While on drugs. Because I'm sure that's going to be an experience. Q-Cock. Q-Cock. Fucking Q-Cock. They come up with the stupidest shit. Oh, there it goes. How was my weekend? My weekend was very good. I had a good time. I should do that with all of them. Yes, absolutely. All right, y'all. That's it. I gotta pee, so the timer has elapsed. The urination station calls me. What do you think of Nina's campaign? It feels like there's less interest online regarding her election. I know that the vote is tomorrow, I believe. So, you know, we'll, I'll try to follow that a little bit tomorrow. But I hope she wins. I have a lot to say. I think the Congressional Progressive Caucus endorsing her opponent and the squad not really doing any counter endorsements against that, I think is, a little problematic. Unless they're going specifically for a strategy where they just don't mention it because they want to make the race. Like, I've read some people say that they think lower turnout might help Nina Turner because of the district shift that happened over the course of the, you know, in between 2020 districts and 2022 districts. So some people think that a lower turnout might be better for Nina Turner. I'm not sure. I would like to think that Nina has been in contact with folks like AOC or Bernie, and you know, that they have a strategy that they're going for, that, you know, that they are involved in. I think. So that's my assumption, right? So we'll see how it ends up. But I gotta go to the goddamn urination station. Whoa. Hello? Okay. All right, I'll be right there. Y'all, the urination station called, and I gotta go.
Unbelievable. The world is actually a small piece of the universe, right? Running against the worst candidate in the history of presidential politics puts pressure on me. Could you imagine if I lose my whole life? What am I going to do? I'm going to say, I lost to the worst candidate in the history of politics. I'm not going to feel so good. Maybe I'll have to leave the country. I don't know.
created Pokemon Go. But I'm trying to figure out how we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls.
It's not that they don't want to help. They don't know quite what to do. Play the radio. Make sure the television, make sure you have the record player on at night. The phone. Make sure the kids hear word.
$7 million for reef fish management. $25 million to combat Asian carp.
I liked beer. I still like beer.